Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Zombie Train. This one ends in a 3, and I'm your host Ellis, otherwise known as Train Man. This, of course, because it ends in a 3, is a route review, which is why we are in the cab of a locomotive, and this is a longer video than usual. And because of the announcement this past Friday, and I'm recording this late, of course, I am driving Norfolk and Western 611, which I'll be riding behind at Strasbourg on September 29th. So, with the Powhatan Arrow consist, we are going to explore this route. This is a route by D.T. Cheney. He's appeared in... I'm not sure how many comments he's made, but I know that I see him on my Steam Friends list a lot when we go to set up for the podcast. So, thank you for submitting this route. It is called American Greenland Nortern Rail. At least that was the name on the menu. It looks like there was a typo in there, but I'm not certain, so I'm just reading it out as it was. First impression to this route, it's big. And so I'm going to be running across as much of it as I can while we talk about the pros and cons and we do our route review. So let's get underway. So let's release the brakes, pull forward. Next signal is red. We will try to pay attention to that. Come on. Headlights on. Yeah, so this route, like I said, is big. It's got wide open spaces, it's got wide main lines, it has a lot of track, a lot of interweaving rights of way, and if we, oh my god, why are we so low on water? If we get to a point where we are not, or we run out of road, I'll just go somewhere else. And also, I'm not sure why I'm running this in cab mode, but I suppose I am. So, I'm going to try to pay attention to the train as much as I am paying attention to the surroundings. Of course, first impressions of where we've begun our journey is that it's kind of plain, you know. I feel like there should be some trees or some grass or something over here. I do have some missing assets with this route, and I have been trying to go back and forth with DT about getting all the assets for the route, but, you know, third time, and that's, you know, that's it. I've put in all the packs that he's given me. He tells me that everything else that I'm missing is consists, or not consists, but rolling stock. Which, if some of that's payware, I can understand why he's not giving it to me, because you shouldn't just distribute payware willy-nilly. But I feel like I'm missing a lot. I feel like I'm missing textures, and I'm missing trees or grass or something. Although I'm not seeing the dotted lines that indicate that splines are missing, so maybe the scenery just isn't that far along. Anyway, that's one of those nice New Century switch stands. I like it. These tracks are very close together, and that's a good thing. It's actually sort of a realistic distance apart as opposed to what I typically end up doing, which is a little bit farther. Yeah, the track work here is pretty good. And, you know, this area might be a little bit plain. Oh, you know, the speed limit is 28. So let's dial it back. One thing that strikes me, though, is that it didn't start me on a train. You know, I put this down on my own because it didn't start me with any engineer, and that sort of indicates to me that whatever train I was supposed to be on doesn't exist. So I'm missing a lot. In fact, I would say that I'm missing too much. Again, if that is because of payware, I can understand that, but, you know, you can at least tell me what the payware is that I would have to pick up in order to run the route properly, because, you know, I'll get it. Like, I'm a man who accumulates a lot of payware, so. Is that a hump yard? I'm noticing that we have coupler strain, so, you know. That looks a little bit steep for a hump yard, but, you know. Cool. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. This is a lot of route. We've got some Pennsylvania F units there. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks like a hump yard to me. That's really cool. I've seen them exist, but I've never seen one used. I assume this... Is this actually functional then? Oh yeah. Yeah. Wow, okay, I'm gonna give it a bonus point for a functional hump yard. Anyway, for those who are unfamiliar with the way that route reviews work, there are 10 categories. They are creativity, operations, track work, scenery, content, size, time, stock/era, world, and a bonus category. So that was one in the bonus category. All those score up to 10, although hypothetically I could give more than 10 bonus points. Oh hey, look, some trees. Oh, and some grass. It looks like we're getting towards a more scenic portion of the route. That's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna try to explore as much of this as possible, like I said. Oh, you know what? I flooded it. Always, always. Running a train and making a video like this is not really easy. Your mind is in a lot of different places at once, and trying to pay attention to all of that can get troublesome. So, I apologize if I blow up the 611. So, to clarify some of these things, right? Stock and era is about the rolling stock that you have in the route and if it all seems to line up and make sense. Right now, I'm already seeing Pennsylvania F units and modern auto racks, so there's a lot that doesn't seem to line up. And obviously, you know, a route is a route. You can do whatever you want with it, but it's important to me, personally, that these things sort of make sense. So, if someone's coming into your route and they're looking it over, you're going to want it to look like, hey, you know, I've sat down and I've thought through this, and, you know, everything here belongs here. But I'm seeing a lot of different out-of-era stuff. We tend to do things in order, though. So, we're getting into more scenic portions here, and that means that I'll eventually be able to do scenery, but that's 4th down on the list, and number 1 on the list for me, and for this route review, as with all route reviews, is creativity. What the hell? What the hell? There's a consist here. A consist of what? I guess there's something that I'm missing. I should have deleted missing assets before starting this. That might have been smart. Alright, well, we've lost that. Let's just take an engine in here. What have we got? So much for the 611. Alright, we've got some M1Bs. We've got some Niagara as well. I don't want those. Let's see, what else have we got in here? This is a nice roundhouse. That's cool. Anything else? We've got an engine with no tender. And we've got the 844. Well, I'm going to go see the 844 later in the year as well, so maybe we'll take that. Okay. So turn this headlight on. Put this in forward. Let's try to get this thing out of the roundhouse without making any stupid mistakes. Anyway. Yeah, this is a nice roundhouse. Whoa, easy. So, creativity, right? There's a lot that's going into this route, and as much as I don't like the fact that the stock seems to be kind of all over the place... Uh-oh. I'm gonna go right off the end. Stop! Okay, let's back it up. Let's back it up a little bit. Alright, let's take it a little bit easier this time. Stop! Okay, so, yeah, as much as I don't like the way that the route is kind of set up willy-nilly with what's on it, these pairings and all the work that's been done here, you know, really does impress me. And you know, that's something that's important. That I feel is important. Let me make sure that, though, that there's no engine on the front of this fruit train. Oh, there is. There is. There totally is. Okay, so I really can't pick up anything, and I don't feel safe to drive anything because there are a lot of missing assets. There are a lot of missing assets. That's kind of prohibitive, if I'm going to be honest. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see, do we have all 7 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, we do, okay. I'll pick up these. I'll pick up these. Maybe that'll, you know. I wanted to bring some freight, but I guess we'll do fine with this. So, it's definitely a very creative route. I'm seeing a lot of different things here, from JR downtown buildings to these roundhouses to these, you know, multiple different kinds of road. You know, this is a cool coaling tower. Like, you've got office buildings, whatever. Obviously, my critique is that the cities aren't big enough, but that's not what we're worried about right now. We're worried about creativity. And the only thing that I can think that is like, well, yeah, that's not super creative, or it's not super unusual. You know, creativity a lot of the time for me is like in unusual points. It's how much does this deviate from the norm of route building? Because, you know, when you do route reviews, you end up seeing a lot of the same stuff because, you know, people sort of, not that people all do the same thing, but that there are a lot of things that are almost like tropes. You see them a lot in route building. So, it's how much does this deviate from the norm, and also, of course, how much thought and heart was really put into this route instead of just throwing something together. Obviously, a giant penis, as previously mentioned, I did review one of those once, and it was certainly creative. It was a deviation from the norm, but it was definitely thrown together just as well. So you know, things to think about, things to think on. I'm not sure exactly what I want to give this for creativity. I haven't seen enough of the route yet, but I have seen, and of course I can change my score later, but I have seen a few things. The bridges that I've seen are really cool, and also there are barges. There are drivable barges and a bunch of boats on the route, and that means DT is paying attention to other modes of transportation on the route. I see road networks that actually sort of exist. And that is a good thing as well. That is something that I like a lot. Let's go and pick this stupid thing up. I don't want to, like, crash into it, so I'm going to try to take it easy. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on over here. We've got, like, some AI trains, and basically from all the different stuff that I'm seeing in this route, I think I can give the creativity a 9. I might drop that down if I'm continually not impressed with the way that the scenery is set up, but it seems to me like there's been a lot of thought that's gone into making the scenery feel authentic and, you know, just sort of fit the bill. Even if this route is ambiguous in the era or the location or whatever, there's certainly been a lot that's gone into it, and there's certainly been a lot of unique things going on. There's a little boat in that lake. The mountains are really well done, actually. The towns seem nice. I'll go and look at that one in a second. One sweet couple. Come on. Come on. Alright. So let's go look at this town for a second. Obviously, the roads are still in development. This area looks very much under construction, but look at this setup right here. Look at this. This is fantastic. This is very well done, and it has a lot of potential. So, there's a lot of heart that's gone in here, although, we're missing something. We're missing some track here, which looks like it went this way. Did it go down the median? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, but we're missing a lot here. That's kind of weird. is really kind of weird. You'd think that would just work. That would just be attached. Is it? Nope, it just doesn't exist. These switches are not on anything. Well, there are some issues with this route I can see. But I hope they can be all worked out. We'll address that in the content section, because that doesn't necessarily have to do with the stuff that's on the route, but it has to do with how easy it was to get the stuff for the route. So, which, as I stated, was difficult. I think on the weekly timetable this week, I'll give a short primer on how to best make content packs for your route. Anyway, you have to leave. This is switching us over, so I think I'm just going to follow its lead, because I'm not sure what goes on down here. These are incredibly wide main lines. Like, just ridiculous. There's something up here. Oh, wow, that's cool. This looks like it ought to be a train. I really hope I don't crash into anything. Did I go through a red, or... Wait, no, let's slow down. Oh well, let's just not go over the speed limit here. Okay, so the next signal is yellow. We're gonna have to find our way around all these ghost trains, because I don't want to touch them, it might crash the game. So, as for operations, right? Well, there's a few things I'm noticing. One, that there are actually AI trains on the route, which is cool, which I like. That certainly makes me happy. I love to see it when people go and, attempt to do some automation, even if it is more just for show than to actually have the route be operated by the AI. But there's a few things that are missing. One, the signals don't seem to be in the best places. I mean, that's not bad, but there probably shouldn't be signals facing this way on that bridge. There probably shouldn't be signals facing this way on that bridge. Not that that's a bad thing, but you don't want a train to get stopped at one of these signals here and be sitting across the interlocking. You want signals on approach to interlockings, not on exit. But do these work? I don't know if these work. Maybe these are like TRC and I don't have the stuff for them. I don't know, we'll find out. There are speed limits, in fact, pretty damn good speed limits, if I'm honest. Oh, there are whistle posts, cool. That's more of a detail thing. Unless it actually makes me whistle when I go across them. Oh hey, we've got crossings. Oh, that's awesome. It's a wide main line, though. Holy cow. It's like AI pandering main line. Although, no, there is an interlocking here, so I guess that isn't a bad thing. I just don't want to crash into anything. We've got a lot of main line ahead of us, but that's maybe the other thing. We don't have much in the way of, Oh, where am I going? I don't want to go that way. I want to go down this line here. Right? Yeah, because I want to go over here. And I want to go up that way. Okay, we're going to have to figure out how to get over. Yeah, a lot of the AI trains are non-functional because they're either missing stuff or they're missing stuff. I guess that's really the only reason that there is. Alright, get over. Get over. The complexity of this route is something that I really love. If you and I can work together to get this thing in one piece, I would love to play on this route more, and I probably would, because this is an amazing route to explore. You've done an excellent job of creating a really well fleshed out network, and that's something that I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, these signals are alright. These signals are alright. I take back what I said. The thing that I'm not seeing, though, is I'm not seeing interlocking towers, and those are incredibly useful for well, trains. Setting up AI. You can't really trust them to throw that many switches on their own. Trust me, I know. It is... Oh, we don't have a next limit. Weird. It is important that you sort that out when you're doing a lot of automation stuff, and you have to tell the trains exactly where to go and what switches to throw and stuff like that. So that, you know, not using interlocking towers for big interlockings on the main line, I think, is a mistake. And I wouldn't have probably said that a couple of years ago, but I'm converted. I've changed my mind. This is a lot of cool stuff, by the way. Some of it is DLS, and I will probably be making use of it, but a lot of it's not, and that means I have to be careful. The more stuff that I get, the more stuff that I have access to, but the more stuff that I can trip myself up with in making Tollbring. So as for operations go, let me look around a little bit. So, a lot of junctions aren't named. The track marks are kind of few and far between, although there are, you know, there are quite a few in important areas. Like on the main lines. Yeah, no, I guess it's okay in terms of how it's set up for running like this. And once again, I'm impressed by how this is. East Bowen, is that this town, or no, it's just misspelled. It should be eastbound B-O-U-N-D or west W-E-S-T B-O-U-N-D. This is cool. Let's look over here though. Oh, this sounds cute. A lot of love went into this place, I can tell. Yeah, I really like this. Maybe these switches are a little bit tight. Actually, these switches are real tight, actually. They probably need some work. This is not the best. Yeah, you don't want a signals here and then a signal here. But really, I'm just nitpicking. I'm trying to find, you know, I'm trying to find things wrong with the operation setup, but there isn't too much wrong. By the same token, there isn't a whole lot that's just the way it should be, you know. Only a handful of things are named, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen any operating industries. Maybe they're there. But I haven't seen too many of them. Although this is sort of more of a mainline running route. So, you know, if you've got a lot of trains going through, then you don't need to worry about trains doing switching. I'm not totally sure where I stand on the operations for this. If, you know, it just feels like it isn't polished. It's not bad, but it isn't polished. You could definitely do a lot of things with operation on this route, but you couldn't get super detailed with it. All you could do is have trains running all over the place, but you could definitely do that. So I'm really not sure what to score this for ops, and I think right now I'm just going to leave it as a 6, which, you know, is... I wouldn't say it's below average, really. I'm not the highest scorer. I'm someone who's a little bit tough on these routes, and, you know, well, I'm not going to apologize for... Ooh, that's nice. That's good to add a post in there. I'm not going to apologize for doing so, but, yeah, I'm just not sure where I stand with the route and with the operations on this route. It's, it could go either way. So that's why I'm giving it a 6. If you guys disagree with my scores, you know, feel free to say something in the comments. So you need to slow down. Take a set. No, it's more than I want. Alright, whatever. As long as we start slowing down, I'm happy with that. Yeah, this route's very well built. I'll say that much. It's very well built. It's not totally set up for ops, I don't think. But it's very well built. You could do a lot of running on this route, and if there wasn't so much third-party stuff and payware stuff, I would say it would be an excellent route for doing multiplayer, just to sort of drive around with your friends. It feels almost like a model railroad club setup. And this main line is gigantic. It gets me every time I look at it. So, anyway. Anyway, that brings us to Trackwork. Speaking of giant main lines. Now, there's a lot of hits for this. There are a lot of good things, things that this route does really well with Trackwork. I could gush about the way that yard was set up back there, but there are some things that are a little bit, that are just a little not great. The main lines, they've got it all nailed down. A lot of these, these switches are set up, they aren't too short and they aren't too long. They're well put together. That's the one thing I can say about this route. It's well put together. But at the same time, you have a lot of weirdness like this. Now, this isn't necessarily bad. It's not even really that unrealistic, but it does feel kind of weird when you look at it. Also, holy cow. I don't know if we're going down or this is going up, but holy cow. Yeah, things don't seem to be maybe as straight as they should be. They tend to wobble a little bit. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it doesn't impede your operations, it's not really a good thing, because it's one of those things that in real life, train tracks go as straight as possible all the time. And sometimes that isn't very straight, but most of the time it's a dead straight line. Especially if you're on anything that's even remotely flat, or that you don't have to change your tune for. So, I don't know. I definitely don't like those switches that we saw out there at that little town, Burgessville, I think it was. And I just think they're too tight, and so I'm I certainly can't give a perfect score. Some of these are not as close to others, etc. It's not perfect, I'll say that much. And we've had routes where the track work is damn near perfect. But it is really good. It's in no way old milky track work, and that is, that means it's good track work. It means that there's been a lot of work that was put into this, and it's not just sort of track thrown around, or track that isn't properly straightened, or track that just sort of wobbles all over the place for no reason. Most of the track doesn't have this sort of deal, although I know that's, in a lot of cases, that's trains doing weird things, and not the guy who made the track, but you have to look out for that when you're building. You have to figure out how to fix that. Also, I love the use of the super signals, not to take away from the track discussion, but I do love it. Okay, I guess we're just sitting at whatever set that is. Hopefully these crossovers will let us go at 50. Oh, next signal's red at 7 miles. We need to figure out why that is. Let's put on half power while we cross over. Yeah, I don't want to crash into anything again. That'd be nice. So, for track work, I think, for the most part, I've got to give like an 8, because there's nothing bad about the track work. Track work's usually a pretty easy thing to get a good score on, and this route's no exception. It is a pretty good example of track work, and for the amount of track work that's been done, oh, that's a little bit of a tight corner, though. This should be widened. For the amount of track work that's been done, it is good work. I'll say that much. This is way too tight. This does not need to be this tight. It should be much wider if the terrain is like this. Let's see. What is our next signal? It's this. Y is... Oh, turnout's not aligned. Okay, it actually tells me which turnout isn't aligned. Please bring up the turnout thing so I can set the stuff. And, okay, we're doing good on speed. I'll bring it down just a little bit. Is that the switch at the other end of this No, it's farther down than that. Yeah, it kind of goes all over the place. I think I'm going to give an 8 for Trackwork, though. It does do a bit of wobbling, but the way it's set up is not bad. Oh, you know, I should have clicked on that, and it would have taken me to whatever the switch was. Yeah, this route is massive. Also, what the hell is going on with this? These spans are way too big. There is no way that would work. You need like 5 times as many pillars. Wait a minute. Go up here. Is there a consist that's sitting on the track somewhere? Okay, wait, what's the issue? This is not aligned? Is it good now? I feel like... Are you happy now? I don't know what I can do to make this happy, so I'm just gonna reset the stuff. I'm gonna go through it. Yeah, sometimes the super signals are a little bit cagey, so I'm just gonna do my best with them. Anyway, we're going very downhill. Yeah, sometimes they don't do everything you need them to do. You want them to do. So anyway, let's talk about the scenery. Scenery is the next part. And I don't want to be racing through these. I want to get through as much of this route as possible. And I don't want to speed, but I do want to see as much of this route as I can before we end this video. So, if I'm looking at this route, the terrain work is very well done. I wouldn't say I'm taken away by it, but it is... I'm certainly impressed by it. I'm very, very happy with this terrain work and the way it's all set up. You know, clearly a lot of thought went into making this, you know, a unique and realistic setup. Although you don't have a river here, which maybe you would want. You know, there aren't enough water features on this route. That's maybe my one critique so far. The water features I have seen are really big, but people often tend to forget that the world around us is filled with little water features. And I mean filled. Unless you live in the desert, in which case it's not. But we're looking at scenery right now. Now we're going to pass through this little town in a few minutes. Now it's got a ball field, it's got some taller buildings, and it's got some, you know, it's got a gas station and some shops. The thing that it's missing is houses, homes. Now, this built-upness of a town does not make sense in the middle of nowhere, and that is an issue. You know, this is very well done. You know, certainly it's really well done, but I can't justify the way this scenery is or how it's organized against the face of the real world. Not to say it isn't beautiful, because I'm going to be honest, it is. It's really good looking. You have all these little buildings, you have people, you have garbage and cans and billboards and broken down houses, and you've got, like, everything in this damn route. It is... There's a lot going on. And that is... I mean, I keep saying impressive, but it is. It's very well done. It's very well put together. I keep saying that, but that's something to say about this route. It is a lot of pieces coming together to make a really effective whole that, you know, while there are a lot of misses, there are far more hits. There are a really good number of hits in this route for everything that is here. You know, it's a mega project, and I know how that feels to be faced with, to be looking at it and to be going, oh crap, like this is huge. This is enormous. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And to be going through and to be building these little towns, oh my god, what the hell? And to be putting all those buildings in place and all those little details, that's really good. That's really good. So, it is lackluster out here. And I do have to judge that. And then in the future, if the route is updated, I will judge it again. I have done, multiple route reviews on the same route more than once. So, it's not out of my box to build to redo a route review if things are farther along, or if I've been more directed. If somebody says, oh, look at this, I'll put you on an AI train and it'll drive you through this area and you can look around. That is probably my favorite way of doing things, because then I get to see the slice that I am expected to review, and not just me wandering around in the middle of an empty area like this. So, there are good and, I wouldn't say right and wrong, but there are better ways to do route reviews and worse ways to do route reviews. For example, I did Jaders not too long ago, the Quintessential, and I was on a coal train, I think. And that was really cool, but he later told me that he wished he'd put me on a different train that did something more interesting or went through areas that were more scenic. And I can understand that. And you can use commands to move the view around to different trains so that I'm always focused on something interesting, or so that I see what you want me to see. It's, there's maybe a technique to this. So, we shall see how this all works out, and if in the future I am to redo this route review, then I will, gladly. And right now, if we look at the good and the bad, that's way too steep. If we look at the good and the bad, I think this deserves a scenery score of 7. I think this route's great. I'll say that. I think it's great. I think, there is a lot here that other route builders can really take away from if you're trying to build a route that's really entertaining to toy around on. Really entertaining to, oh, look at the super elevation. That's well done. That is really well done. Alright, we're going through this red. Oh well, it was bugging out. How come we don't have another thing? Wait a minute. What's wrong? Something's fishy. Is there like a switch ahead that doesn't have a switch stand? I'm concerned that that might be the case and that we're going to end up going off the rails here. That is concerning. Anyway, we shall see. We'll blow up that bridge when we come to it. Anyway, so let's talk about the most contentious thing for me right now, which is content. We're missing a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if we're missing trees. I know we're missing a lot of rolling stock and engines. I am pretty sure we're missing different kinds of track and bridges and, possibly switch stands now. I downloaded everything off the TLS that I could get for this route, and I got 6 different dependency packs in 3 rounds of packs for this route, and yet I'm still missing so much. And that's an issue, Obviously, if you're building in trains, you're a lot of time just building for yourself. You're building so that you have something to play around on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like one quality of a good route is that you can share it. You can say, oh, here, check out my route, explore my route, or even better, play on this route with me. It's maybe it's more of a solitary pursuit for you, maybe it's more of a zen thing where you sit down and you build, which I know it is for a lot of people. I do that sometimes too. But, first and foremost for me is getting a route that I can say, check this thing out. Oh, also, we're running the 833, not the 844. Oh, well. I just noticed that. So, maybe maybe I'm wrong, and I shouldn't be criticizing the way the content is set up for this route, but I know the way this thing is supposed to work. The content of the route is... Oh my god, stupid tunnel. Oh, this has electric catenary. Is just the content that I get with the route. How easy is it for me to get all this content? And it's really not easy. I have to give points for the work that DT put in to get me all this content. Obviously, it was an effort, and that bridge span is way too long, and I respect that that effort was put in. But at the same time, I can't ignore the fact that even after all that effort, I'm still missing tons of stuff. So, and it is severely hampering my ability to use this route. I've already crashed the train I started with. The 611 is ruined. She might never run again. And that bridge is kind of low. Although, who am I to talk, frankly? But there are, bridges missing and stuff like that, on top of just rolling stock. Obviously, you can put whatever rolling stock you want in a route. And the other thing is, I loaded this route up in just edit route and not edit session. And there was a lot of stuff that's on the session layer, like bridges and track and things like that. I was really concerned that I was missing way more stuff. So, I tried to do my best with getting all that stuff here, and with sorting it out, and with making this sort of run the way it's supposed to, and basically so that I can judge the whole route properly. But that is hampered by the way the stuff is set up for this route, by the way the content is set up. So and it pains me to do this, because I know this route deserves a pretty damn good score, because there's been a lot of work put into it. I can see that clear as day. Look at this suburbia right here. I like that. I put tons of work into my suburbia. But I have to give it a 4. There's a lot to be desired with this route, and like I said, content, or I'm not sure if I said this, but content can be a sort of very binary thing. Either you did it right or you didn't. And I'm sorry, but there's a lot missing here. Crashing into an invisible train is not the way I wanted to start this. And I haven't seen any AI trains actually moving because they're all missing cars. So, if you're sending me a route to review, either make sure that I can get all the assets for it, or take off the ones that I'm not going to get. So, that's my recommendation if you want a good score. I don't ever get to see anything except for what I get sent. So, such is life. So I have to give a 4 for that, and it pains me to do so, but I do. Size. Size is the next one. Size is impressive on this route, and there's one thing that really matters about size. Yes, size matters. But what matters to me about size is how much of the size actually got used, actually got worked on. Does it seem like this route has outgrown its creator's intentions by that much? And right now, I'm not sure it has. I am pleasantly surprised by how much of this isn't gray. And of course, there is a lot of gray. But there's a lot that isn't. There's a lot that's got texture, there's a lot that's got scenery. There are towns and places and industries and terrain work especially. We all know how much how much time that takes. Holy macaroni. This is a lot of terrain work that's been done on this route. I don't think this has really gotten away from its creator at all. And I'm impressed by the size of it. I love the size of it. I would dick around on here for hours. So, I can't not give this thing a good score for that. And, you know, there is a lot of gray, so I can't give it a perfect score. In fact, it's not even really going to be close, but it's not going to get a bad one. It's not going to get a 4, that's for damn sure. I think it deserves at least a 7. And maybe I'm being generous with that. Maybe I'm being generous with that 7. Again, if you guys agree or disagree, feel free to say so. But I think that's a good score. I think that is what it is. You know, maybe there are areas that are more scenic that I'm not seeing, but, you know, and maybe the green on the map is sort of a, not a red herring, but it's misleading to me. I'm thinking that things are more done than they are. And, you know, maybe that's true. Maybe I'm wrong. But, you know, whatever. DT, if you want to correct my scores and say that I gave you more than you deserve, absolutely, you know, by all means say so. But, you know, I wouldn't if I were you. Anyway, we're gonna go straight through here. We're heading down this way. When do we get to something else interesting? So we're most of the way there. We already drove across a pretty heavy portion of the route. We've been at this for about 30 minutes, and we went all the way around here. Yeah, we're crossing a lot of empty area, and then we're going to go... Let's see, where are we going? I don't want to go down that way. In fact, I'd rather go up this way. So let's see if there's a way we can get around. Looks like there isn't. Alright. Oh, we probably should have gone up that freight branch. Right? No, wait, where would that have taken us? That would have taken us, like, over this way, through this empty area, and then down this way. Oh, that would have actually brought us down here. And then up the river, which is kind of where I wanted to go, then to over here. Oh, well, we kind of goofed. But, whatever. We'll go down here. And then I'll leave this train to sort of run itself. I'll pick up maybe a different one. Although, if this bridge existed, we could go this way. I would like to do that, but the bridge does not exist. I don't have that asset, I guess. Which is unfortunate. I would like to have that asset, but we do not. I like how this isn't set up where you can get everywhere from everywhere. Everything's sort of, you know, I'm sure it makes sense in the eyes of the creator. I don't understand it all, but it seems like there is some sort of rhyme or reason that I'm not able to see because I'm not the guy who put it together in the first place. So, you know, whatever. We are just going to go through here, and then we're going to run something else. I don't know what that something else is. Oh, hey. Oh, these guys are just sitting there. You can't drive them? That's disappointing to me. But we're going to go as far as over here. We'll see what this area looks like before we hop off of this train. Oh, never mind. It crashed. Train crashed, guys. And, did Bandicam crash? Alright, well, we're gonna start that up again. I guess it's perfect time to go and run a different train in a different direction. Man, I can't wait to have 2019. I can't freaking wait. Use changes. Oh, no. Yes, use changes. So we're going to have to stop the recording compulsory. I don't really want to do that, but... Yeah, force the recording. Or force stop the recording. I'll have to fix that file later and sync it up, and this is going to be a bunch of big blackness. Hopefully we don't miss very much. Oh well. So we've got to talk about time. Time is the next one. I don't know how long it took DT to build this route, but I do know that I'm impressed by its size. And I do know that something of this size does take a long time to complete. And nonetheless, I'm impressed by how much is done. So while I don't know when it was started, I do know that it seems like DT is a person who's dedicated to building this route and, you know, putting that work in, and I would assume, because of that, that he's not a slow worker to do all the detail that has been done. I think it's worth giving DT a 7 on time, because, you know, I may not know a lot about what's going on, but I feel like I know enough. I feel like I know that this is something that is a labor for him and not something that he has let sit on the back burner for a long time and just dropped in my lap because whatever. Because, oh, I want to get my route reviewed that I don't really work on. So, you know, let's get back into the route and see what we can do. Now, I'm not sure if the crash was my fault. Maybe I was copy-pasting trees. Let's get back into the route. I'm going to hit quick drive, and then I am going to sync the audio with the video. Once again, we're going to drive from the other direction, although I want to see what that other patch is first. Okay. Let me go down to this area here. Oh no, let's go over here. There is some sort of consist here that is broken. Okay, we're going to start going wrong side next to this consist that's missing a bunch of things. Video is on. Let's see it. Sync. And then let's grab a... No, let's grab some sort of freight train. No, let's not do that. E7S engine and tender. Now let's grab this. Nice, I like it. Spin that around. Oh, god damn it. Try that one again. Put it back here. Turn it around. Let's get an I1. Oh, whoops, it's down here. Oh, you know what? I can sync this. Sync. Sync. I like to do two, as you guys I'm sure know. Post-war engine and long tender. Coast to coast. Oh, gosh darn it. We're over here. With an A-class in the yard with a train that it won't move because it's missing stuff. Alright, we started down here, south of the tunnel. I'm not sure if this is actually south, but we started down here. Alright, let's get this train moving. Oh right, we're in the wrong mode. Realistic mode. Maybe I should have put down 611 again. This engine is very black. I feel like it should be a little bit more gray. Maybe that's just me. Are we going uphill? Yeah, we are. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so the next bit. Nope, that's too much. This is a cool looking tunnel, though. Not even that long. Okay, also I like all the rock formations around, although we can see into the tunnel. Maybe that's not a good thing. I don't suppose that's on purpose. Alright, we want to go that way, and I'm going to cross over to the right side so that we have a less chance of running into something. Whoops, do that, do that. Alright, we're good. I think this is all well and good. These bridge spans are too long. Okay, stock and era. I already voiced my complaints about the way that the era of this route is set up. I don't think that it was, set up with any particular era in mind, and I know that's just a creative choice by DT, the person who made it, But stock and era is about stock and era. Is there enough rolling stock on the route to run the route? And is that stock in some sort of order? You know, does it belong together? Now, I'm not certain all of what I'm missing, but there is a lot of rolling stock hanging around. So it is entirely possible that there's plenty of rolling stock on the route to run the route. You know, more than we could possibly need. But at this point, I am not certain if that is true. I'm hesitant to... Oh god, what the hell? I'm hesitant to believe that it is. Although, there is a lot of rolling stock. So, I can't really knock points for that. You know, there may not be every yard track filled with everything, but there is plenty of stuff on the route to use, so I can't really knock points for that. What I can knock points for is the fact that it is not all in order. It's all kind of... Also, this track work is not great. Any extra point that was earned for super elevation is not... It's taken away for the way this track is working. Also, is this supposed to be like this? I know there's really not a good way to do this, but this doesn't seem like a good way to do anything. Anyway. Stock and era is a little bit not great. I just don't... I'm not feeling it. There's a lot of different things going on, and I think the best I can do is give this a 6, and that might be generous. It just doesn't all line up. The route does not know what era it's supposed to be in. Yeah, you know what, I have to drop that down to a 5. The route doesn't know what era it's supposed to be in. And like I said, yeah, if that's a creative decision, then that's a creative decision, but that doesn't mean that it passes muster. There are issues with doing that. Like I said, it feels like a model railroad. And is that a bad thing? No, not really, but this is trains, not rolling line. I don't know. I don't know. You can run whatever you want. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying that there are no water in the engine. We're about to go hella up. Yeah, what the hell is with this area? This area is ridiculous. Also, look at that cool drawbridge over there. Also, are we going the wrong way? Are we going around? Oh, we're going around. Oh, I should have gone, like, through the steel mill. That would have looked cool. I don't know why this exists. This is something... That's a question for World. Also, is that a train? Okay, no. Okay, it's not a train in front of us. Phew. Yeah, stock and era. Not the biggest fan, admittedly. Oh, I should have picked something faster, but the speed limits on this route are not that fast. This grade is kind of absurd. I don't see a reason why it exists. The steel mill is cool, though. I don't know. Alright, and that makes the last category world. Now, world is one of the most important things to me, whether or not it really makes any sense. World is, how does this route feel? You know, does it feel like it really could exist? And I am not sure where I stand on that. The era is not consistent, although that doesn't really factor in here. There are a lot of connections to the outside world, so it's not an isolated railroad. The way that things are tied together seems to make a lot of sense from the perspective of, well, a world, but... I'm just gonna say drive. But at the same time, there are connections that are made or routes that exist that just don't seem to make sense to me. There isn't enough water, like I said. This just doesn't seem to make any sense. I don't know. There are where world comes in, there are some key things that are good about the way the world in this route is set up. But there are a lot of things that, well, there are a lot of places where it fails. You know, there are... This is really cool. This is really nice. There are a huge number of things that work. You know, things that make sense. Because, you know, this feels like a railroad with a... What the hell is that? With a connection to the rest of the world. It feels like just a microcosm of the universe. But I just don't know where it lands. I just don't know. So is there a consist here? On this track? Ghost consist, I'm trying to contact you. Are you there? Doesn't look like it. Just looks like signals doing weird things. A lot of weird things going on with this route. There just isn't enough stuff to make the world real. There just isn't enough stuff. And that's the biggest issue that I'm seeing with this route, that I think this route has. In my opinion. As far as world goes. Everything's very well spread out, but the locations that, you know, that it reaches aren't significant enough to make all of this gigantic tangle of tracks make sense. I don't know. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. And I don't want people to think that every time or everything you build in a route has to make exact sense. I would like it to be. I would like it to make sense. But the fact of the matter is, we build these routes for ourselves first and foremost. And whatever you decide to have in this world of yours is what you can have. This is a game about building a railroad, about doing what you want. The ship is sinking. About, you know, not worrying about really realism at all. So that isn't necessary when this is here, but whatever. You know, so you don't ever have to play or build my way, but this is me reviewing the route, so I have to think about that. I have to, you know, obviously I'm applying my own biases to the route because I'm a reviewer. I'm trying to see how good it is based on these criteria that I have created. Obviously, if you're a reviewer, you want to be impartial, but the criteria are not really impartial. They're sort of aimed at routes that do a certain thing, and this route doesn't do it in the world category. Although, like I said, it has a few things going for it. 1. There are connections not just to other modes of transportation, but to the rest of the world at large. 2. There are road connections between places. It's, you know, it is as best possible a world, a living world that in which things are going on, and it is not just a set of scenery for the trains to run on. And that's, you know, that is the most important thing. If it fills criterion number 2, then there is an attempt to build a true world for this railroad. Even if it's an isolated one, even if it doesn't fill criteria number 1. So it deserves some points for this. But there are some areas where it just doesn't cut it. The towns aren't big enough. You know, like I said, the locations aren't prominent enough. And while the distances are really good, there should be more going on. I'm missing some textures. There has to be more going on. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on the matter. And that's the criterion on which I will review this route. So, like I said, if you disagree, if you think he deserves more or he deserves less for his efforts, which are significant, I don't want to downplay that. This is a well put together route. Say something. And, DT, I don't know what your opinion is on sharing this route, but you decided to share it with me, and if more people are interested, then maybe they can get in touch with you if you want to, say something in the comments for why that's a good idea. This is gorgeous. Look at this. Look at this. This got some work. I like that. I still can't give you that perfect 10 for creativity, but I'll give you a bonus point for that rut. I think I'm going to have to give you a 5 for world. There is an attempt to build a world. You haven't ignored the fact that your railroad doesn't exist in a vacuum, or shouldn't, perhaps. You haven't ignored that. But there isn't enough to make it fit. So, that's just like my opinion, man. So don't take it too hard. It's just my justification for giving this score. Anyway. Now I'm going to find some more bonus points. And then we'll tally up these scores and we'll see what you get in the end. I think a bonus point is deserving, or you deserve a bonus point certainly, for the use of the super signals, which are always fantastic. Sometimes they can be a little finicky, but they're always fantastic. The beautiful assortment of roundhouses and other assets that you've used to sort of make this world really scenic and to make everything put together, I think that's deserving of another bonus point. It's, I like this route, and I feel like the score, without some help, isn't really going to accurately reflect how the route is, because it doesn't need to be perfect, like I said. What else? Lots of use of K&L trains, which I appreciate. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily worth the points. The network nature of the route, I think, maybe deserves one. Which, is something that makes me happy, as many people know, and sometimes much to their chagrin. And I'm not totally sure what else I can think of. I'm not totally sure. But I do like this route a lot. I'm gonna be honest, when I was given it, and we went back and forth on the content and putting this together, I was really concerned that I was gonna get a route that really wasn't any good. And I apologize for assuming that at first, because I was wrong. I was very wrong. I made a mistake in my assumptions, and instead I am left with this honestly awesome playground. That's the way I can describe this route. It is an awesome playground. It is a great place to come on and just test out trains and drive around and take different routes. If I had all the content for this route, I would be singing praises even more than I already am. So, also I need to see if these I want these boats. These are awesome. It's sinking. Anyway, so let's tally these points up. I'm going to bust out a calculator for this because I really don't want to get it wrong. So, actually, let's go back to the train, just so that we have something to look at in the background while we're going here. So, that is a 9 for creativity, a 6 for operations, an 8 for track work, a 7 for scenery, a 4 for content, a 7 for size, a 7 for time, a 5 for stock and era, a 5 for world, and 5 bonus points. Ah, I knew it. There just isn't the grade here to make it as good as it could be, and the thing that killed you is content. You could have had a 60... 9. Nice. If you'd gotten perfect content points, but oh well. I assume there was a lot of payware there that you weren't about to share, and I understand that. Yeah. I'm not sure if I want to give you one more for scenery. Maybe you deserve an 8 there, because there are a lot of nice little scenes, but I have to balance out the fact that there are a lot of things in the route that are just not scenic yet. That has to factor in. So that's a 63. You have a 63 on your first route review for this route. And if you ever want me to look it over again, now that isn't that bad, really. If we look at if we make a comparison, last time, I reviewed TJ's Downtown Railroad, and that also got a 63. I reviewed the Aquatic Central not long ago. That got a 75, but that was a very close to done route, and it was automated and everything. When I reviewed the Green Gorge, it got a 78, but when I reviewed Scaryoshi's route, it got a 61. Whoops, don't do that. The Westerford and Brightford got a 60. I don't know. I don't know what you think. If you're unhappy with what you got, then the CM&E last time I reviewed it got a 60 as well. So if we want to balance them out, maybe the detractors, again, the content did you in a lot, but maybe the detractors for this route were things that are really just inherent to building a route of this size. But I think you did pretty well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. And remember, if you want me to review your route in 10 episodes of Zombie Train, I will be doing it again. And if you contact me on Skype at Bombs321, you'll know. Or you'll know. Yeah, right. That doesn't make any sense in context. I'll look over your route too. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Train Man out.